Welcome, everybody. We're really excited at Media Arts Council here to welcome the Mainline Stitchers. This is our guest exhibit. Normally we have our Media Gallery Artists Collective of 12 artists right now who will show a monthly exhibit. But then for about half the year, we give out the gallery to artists and groups from the outside. And so we're really excited for something that's really different and neat and cool for us. So we're very thankful to have them here. And we have something that's really, I think, very interesting. We have some presentations about needlepoint itself as well as the works itself. So we're going to share that with you. How the order of this will go is I'll share my screen. We have some galleries, we have some speakers. And then once we get through with all that, we'll open the floor up to any questions or comments. If everyone wants to turn off their video, it probably helps your bandwidth and all that kind of stuff because there's a lot of images that are going to come. Like I'll turn mine off as well. And that, just if you would, if there's anything that's interesting to you, just try to remember the name of it or who made it, and we can get back to it. But we do have a lot of images to go through, and it might be hard to remember what they are and things like that. So I'm going to share my screen now. Turn off my video, and I'm going to share my screen. And that's the one I want. Share that one. Great. And can everyone see my screen? I'm just checking here.
Yes.
Great. Okay. And so let's get to our first slide, which is here. Actually, I'm going to do that and great. Right. So the Media Arts Council and the American Needlepoint Guild Mainline Stitchers chapter welcomes you to celebrate the art of stitching, an exhibition featuring original designs, adaptations of art and photographs, and commercial designs from nationally known designers. We start with 3 chapter projects. In this first, 9 members of the chapter stitched different sections. They selected stitches individually for their portion of the coffee cups canvas. In the second, the group discussed and decided on appropriate stitches as Noah's Christmas progressed. This third photo shows a current project the group is stitching independently in colorways of their choice. Art's Pond at 55 inches by 22 inches represents Beth Tillman's love of large pieces and was a gift to her husband. The next slide from Beth is her egret scroll tapestry. And here is the iris scroll, also an impressive 37 inches long. And finally from Beth is her Russian Saint Nick. Two now from Buff Biddle. Here first is Log Cabin. And now Sudoku. Buff enjoys geometrics when she isn't stitching ornaments for her family. Deborah Hollander selects dramatic, eye-catching pieces. Deborah made brilliant choices for the snow using sparkling Swarovski crystals and a mixture of artificial feathers and craft boa for the egret. Heather Lynn Gitlin creates fascinating original pieces, including this Jewish charity box. Joanne Pascoe has enjoyed projects offered through the Embroidery Guild of America and the Shining Needle Society, as well as ANG. Kristen Gengler was full of serenity, harmony, and tranquility by the time she finished the Kathy Reese pieces. Kristen is also a big fan of Tony Maneri. As well as Carol Lake, and had fun stitching these pieces too. Linda Mitchell has so many lovely pieces that it was hard not to show more. These are just a few that show her talents. From a wide range of nationally known designers and teachers. Mission Garden is literally overflowing with beads. The natural complexion of Queen Victoria makes her look like a photo. The dancer is making the ribbons float. And Frank Lloyd Wright would be thrilled with the kimono. Lisa McGuinness got lots of practice making crescents in this first design and waffles in the second design. She even framed both pieces herself. Lori Corbett loves beading, and so it's no surprise she's sharing a Nancy Cucci piece. And since she could not cruise this year, she's enjoyed stitching the sun rising over the soft waves of the ocean. This is Megan Mickle's first finished needlepoint, and she framed it herself too. Melita Glavin was crazy about the class with ribbons and beads. She has tackled painted canvases with stitch guides, including this daisy from David McCaskill, and without stitch guides, as for the cranes in which she selected her own threads and stitches. The woman is adapted from a stained glass window wall hanging. The flag showcases 247 different stitches and 60 different threads. Melita enjoys designing needlepoint as much as stitching them. The last and this are two of her latest pieces. Patrick Barron has a wide range of interests and creativity. Being a landscaper, he loved interpreting the magazine photo of an outdoor garden. The eagle's ornaments were for his son. The wooden box was lined with various designs and opens to hold different tools. The shoe has been turned into a pincushion, and the toe opens to hold more. Sally Moser loves basket weave, but joins the group in a yearly fancy project. Stephanie Scher shows why she is on the board of Media Arts Council, an art community and gallery in Media, Pennsylvania, which hosts a monthly exhibit of local artists working in a variety of mediums. She shares here some of her diverse needlepoint pieces. These works from the Mainline Stitchers pieces utilized a wide variety of threads, including silks, metallics, and many more. Many of these were worked on 13, 14, or 18 count mono canvas, and some are on 24 count Congress cloth. As you saw, most were framed out. But for our next portion, Lisa McGinnis will show and tell us how needlepoint can be finished.
Thank you, Jared. Yes, you are correct. Needlepoint doesn't have to be framed and hung from the wall. Next are some of the different ways to finish needlepoint. Many more finishing options are not shown, such as dog collars, keychains, seat covers, lampshades, eyeglass cases, scissor cases, and many more. Patrick designed his cummerbund for his own wedding. And these are 8 of his own belts celebrating his dogs, his heritage, and his love of stitching. The geometrics are from a Dover Celtic chart design book. Melita resized designs from Liz Morrow, Pat Mazu, and Jean Hilton to fit into pairs of bookends as gifts for each of her 3 bosses at work. Bookmarks are fun and quick little projects. Melita adapted the left one from a larger design onto Ada cloth. The center ones are Anne Brinkley Ultra Suede Self-Finishing Needlepoint Canvas bookmarks, which Melita gave as Christmas gifts one year. And Kathy stitched a Mindy painted canvas bookmark for herself. Canvases can be inserted into box tops, which come in a wide variety of sizes and colors. Heather designed and stitched a tzedakah box, which is a Jewish charity box. Linda made a box for her sewing room called Airing the Quilts from Nancy's Needle. And Buff stitched the Eagle Scout Raymond Crawford canvas for her grandson. Heather made her Orna Willis flower cuff into a bracelet to be worn as the designer intended, but Melita made hers into an ornament 2 inches by 7 inches for hanging. Heather used some different threads to suit her color preferences. Bricks can be turned into door stoppers or paperweights. Kathy stitched Napoleon's Bee brick cover by Whimsy and Grace, and Sally stitched Elegant Lobster by J.P. Needlepoint. Melita resized sections of a Liz Morrow design to fit an off-the-shelf collage frame. Much like Merrill Wismer, one of Media Art Council's gallery artists, Patrick repurposes his finds from antique stores too. Here he is taking vintage cookie cutters and making them into ornaments, which will hang once he attaches hangers. Sally made this counter design into a lovely rug, approximately 9 inches by 7 inches, for a dining room in a doll mansion. When working needlepoint on stretcher bars, these beautiful frogs are weighted to about 2 to 3 pounds, and they counterbalance part of the canvas off the edge of a table to free both hands for stitching. Kathy's zebra frog is by Squiggy Designs, and Deborah's is the Hanukkah frog by Edie and Ginger. Both frogs are about 11 inches by 11 inches. Sally made straps for a luggage rack. Pillows can be any size, shape, or color. Buff's Magnolia and Stargazer Lily octagon pillows make a lovely pair. Note the matching stitches surround the flowers. Each are 11 inches by 11 inches by CBK needlepoint. Beth made the deer for her grandson. Lori has her shimmering butterfly adorning her couch. Note both these pillows are framed with fabric. And Sally's Nantucket pillow commemorates her traveling to that area without any frame at all. Sally's, which is done in basket weave, is typically more durable than either of the other pillows. One must consider what threads and stitches to use depending on who will use them and where they will be placed. Purses are wonderful ways to display needlepoint. Linda's painted canvas, by the Point of It All Designs, was stitched as 4 panels and then constructed into the tote bag, which is 16 inches by 6 inches. Melita stitched Golden Friends, a counted geometric design by Tony Gerdes, and inserted it into a Lee leather purse. Deborah placed Miss Opal Frog from the Meredith collection into a matching vibrant green bag. These can be used as daily handbags for special occasions or to hold special stitching projects. Patrick can store several pairs of scissors on this weighted tool caddy. If it has holes in it, Patrick can stitch it. Here he has repurposed sieves. The frog and owl are both his own designs. Pieces can be finished to stand up. Joanne has Mary Long's majestic Cleopatra's cat keeping her company. Michelle Roberts has been inspired by Fabergé to create many eggs. Melita has her orange tree egg on an acrylic display stand inserted into the base. Those are special beads shaped like leaves that Michelle picked up on her travel overseas. And Patrick made these pumpkins from specially designed painted canvases and used real pumpkins stems to top them. Stockings make wonderful gifts for family members. Beth stitched hers with love at the top for herself, but it can be passed down to a future member of her family. Patrick welcomed his daughter-in-law, Becca, into the family with a snowman who is enjoying a smoke on a real corncob pipe. Beth's colorful Pastel Balloons in Flight by Alice Peterson fills a tray rather than the skies for her granddaughter, who enjoys the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. Trays make for useful designs of needlepoint designs. Patrick placed a variation of Melita's first design into a tray. Just be sure to have trays constructed to be functional by sealing it well enough to keep food and liquid out. Melita broke up another design, Pieces of 8 by Gail Bicknell, to make a coordinated collection, including a trivet, which can withstand temperatures up to 350 degrees, a pair of coasters, and a pair of napkin ring holders. Linda's 4 wallets are self-finishing. 3 are painted canvases, and the geometric is her own design. Patrick's jeans wallet was finished with a pocket from a pair of his own jeans on the back side of the wallet. No better way to end this presentation than with the saying on Patrick's wallet, "I stitch to keep the voices quiet." And now Linda Mitchell will talk about the effect of stitches in our needlework.
Thank you, Lisa. Now we're going to look at how stitch selection can impact a final piece. And we're going to start with A Basket of Flowers for Good Wishes by David McCaskill. Even when the same stitch and thread are used, a different effect can be created. The 3 prominent flowers are manipulated neon rays, done by holding one of the filaments of the neon rays in one hand while sliding the rest of the thread down to the canvas for couching around the beaded center. Differing amounts of couching account for why Lori's flowers on the left are more flowing, while Melita's on the right are more compact. Lori selected the optional background stitches, which make her basket appear to be sitting on a shelf covered with 3 beige lace doilies. The addition of the doilies ground the basket. Gail Stafford created this piece shown in the right photo based on the photograph seen on the left. Gail aptly named it A Dusting of Snow. The random French knots for snow seen on top of the green rounded bushes and the intermittent pattern on the ground covering all indicate a light snowfall. Unlike the first 2 pieces, which started from a blank canvas, the next 2 pieces we will talk about began with the pictures painted on the canvas and the stitching placed on top. This is Lotus Kimono by Lee, and the unstitched painted canvas is in the center. On the left, Beth selected a more subtle color palette, while on the right, Melita preferred stronger colors. This is particularly evident on the blossoms. As far as stitch selection is concerned, the main differences between the 2 pieces are the use of dense or heavily stitched areas compared to open or lighter coverage, which allows the painted canvas to show. Beth's blue and white blossoms are lightly stitched, using a small leaf pattern, allowing the canvas to show through, while Melita's random long and short stitches completely cover the canvas. Beth completely covered the leaves using columns of alternating mosaic stitches on the left leaves and a diagonal Beatty stitch on the right leaves. Melita used only 2 strands with the slightly open stitches of herringbone ground on the left canvas, or on the left leaves, and double woven plait on the right leaves, which allows the painted canvas to show through. Neither are right or wrong, simply different. Let's finish up this portion discussing vases with curly bamboo, a Sharon Garmai's painted canvas. The unstitched canvas is in the upper left corner. Linda's is in the upper right corner, and she followed Amy Bunger's stitch guide. Melita's in the lower left corner and followed Sharon G's stitch guide. And Beth is in the lower right corner using some of Fireside Stitchery's guide and some of the others. Only the two right canvases were painted at the same time, so some variation is due to the underlying paint. However, the main differences are a result of the stitches selected. The stitches selected for each vase on each canvas allows for varying amounts of canvas to show through. Let's take a closer look at what stitches were selected for each vase. Both the green vase on the top and bottom use very open stitches worked on a diagonal, creating a rounded effect. The green vase in the middle uses a less open, non-directional stitch pattern, which relies on what little paint shows through to create the sense of roundness. Moving to the right, the burgundy vase has the most varied degree of coverage of all the vases. Starting with the lightest on top, an inverted scallop stitch using a sparkly thread allows the most canvas to show. For the middle vase, some canvas shows through because one strand of thread is used for the Scotch stitches in a diamond pattern, along with a zigzag pattern of a sparkly thread and beads. The bottom vase uses a heavier variegated thread in a pavilion stitch completely covering the canvas. Looking next at the blue vase, the middle vase uses one strand of thread for the lightest coverage of the three. The top vase adds more thread, giving more texture, but still leaving enough open work to show the more lightly painted surface below. The bottom vase has slightly more coverage, although it uses the same stitch because two strands of thread are used in the pattern instead of one, and yet still canvas shows through. The top and bottom yellow vases used Triple Delight darning in one color for the bottom vase and two colors for the top vase. The middle yellow vase uses two colors for a double stitch, which is combined with large and small crosses for fuller coverage. When two colors of thread were used, the stitch followed the shading of the canvas to accentuate the color of the canvas, which shows through on all three, but just much less on the middle one. Crosses and bars variation is a very dense stitch, which is used for the coral vases on the top and bottom, providing full coverage. The top vase uses two different colors of a silk thread, along with a sparkly thread, while the bottom vase uses a variegated thread and a sparkly thread. The middle one, which has canvas showing through, uses one strand of the darker of the silk threads used in the top vase, a sparkly thread, and some beads. Each stitcher had their piece matted and framed quite differently. Linda on the left chose a blue mat with gold frame. Melita in the middle chose a black mat with a gold frame, and Beth on the right chose a burgundy mat with a wood frame. It was a wonderful project that we all learned from, and we hope you learned something too. And for our last discussion, Melita will look more at color and how they impact design.
Thank you, Linda. Well, both Heather and I are working towards our Master Craftsman certification through the Embroidery Guild of America. For step 1, we both selected the 3 goldfish design. We could select only 10 stitches from a list of 20 and had to use 5 values of a monochromatic color scheme using a stranded cotton floss by the company DMC. Mine is on the left and used 5 adjacent values from within a single color family called golden yellow. Heather's piece on the right used 5 adjacent colors, but they come from the pale yellow and tangerine color families, covering a wider variation in values. There are still similarities between the two pieces, despite the different colors used. Both of us used the lightest value of the 5 for the circle so that it would recede into the background. For the right fish, we both placed the darker thread in the center of the fish to bring it forward, with the lighter colors on the top and bottom to make those areas of the fish recede and appear rounder. The tail of the right fish shows the swishing through carrying the colors from dark in the center to lighter on the edges, and in mine, the additional change in stitch direction helped to add movement. In the top left fish, we both made the front fins different values so that the furthest fin would be lighter and recede. Since my threads were so very close in value, I also employed a thread blending technique which combines different numbers of strands of 2 colors together, but in different combinations, to create the gradual shading and sense of depth within the shape of each fish. We both passed with distinction, and they will be swimming their way to Chicago for display at the EGA seminar in the education area this summer. But rarely do we work in a monochromatic colorway. Exactly 6 years ago, several of us took a class with Orna Willis, a Philadelphia needlepoint designer and teacher. We all stitched the same design using different colors based on different magazine photos. I'm going to read some comments we left on Orna's blog at the time as I show that person's finished piece alongside of the inspirational photo. Orna had said either end could be the top, and Lori turned hers upside down for framing, and she included the photo shown on the left in the frame piece. Lori said, Orna has such a sense of how color and the spirit of color work together. Before we came to class, Orna sent each of us 2 pictures to choose where the spirit led us. One of the pictures I received used mostly colors I'm very comfortable with and use all the time. The other photo had deeper colors of mostly blues, gold, and brown. I am working with this piece. Orna has really opened my eyes and my spirit today. Linda said, I found it interesting that many of us in the class were locked into looking at the picture and trying to find all the colors that we would need. It was challenging to try to feel the picture as a whole and have the threads, beads, etc. reflect the feel of the picture. It helped me a lot to scan the picture quickly, shown here on the right, and then see if what I chose actually created the same look and balance of color. This is really helping me to see things differently. And Patrick shared this. I took this same class 2 years ago and found it fun to do. It took me out of my comfort zone, but the results of the finished piece were fantastic, and I jumped at the chance to take the class again. I am learning more about color and how to place it on the canvas. The picture given to me is totally different from any I have stitched in the past. I selected the photo of the dining area with the various greens, which I found challenging. Orna made me see the color in a way I had not imagined was possible. And seeing the group develop their own pieces during class was as informative as working on my own. However, I still prefer my second completed piece, worked in red, white, and blues, which was finished a few months later. As you can see, Orna's design was not related to the photos, as any color scheme could be used. However, Gayanne Rogers not only used the colors from these three Downton Abbey designs, she also based some of the design on the elements from within the corresponding photos. I have recently stitched these three from her series of 4, and we're going to take a look at each one now. Mary's hat is called out here, and 2 stripes of fur from her coat are worked into the piece using a fuzzy thread. The textured effect of Edith's jacket is evident in this piece. And Cora's design looks like it was cut from her outfit. The leaves and pods are practically identical. Last year, several members stitched one of my designs, Crescent Journey, in different colorways. This design generated from another Orna Willis class. In this class, we painted small triangles and inserted stitches until they worked in the available areas. And I altered the center diamond area for additional variety. Then we combined the triangles to form repeat patterns, which is called tessellation, as seen in the upper left corner. The dark purple areas are the crescents and were intended to be the focal point. When I selected colors for the initial stitched piece, seen in the bottom left corner, I did not think about the effect of values, and the dark colors surrounding the crescents obscured the crescents somewhat. So when Linda and I selected threads for the next 2 colorways in the center, we did much better. The neutral colorway in the top center has the prominent crescents, but the beige foundation grid on the bottom center one is still more prominent than I would have preferred. Then more chapter members stitched the design, and Lisa came up with the top right colorway, and Kristen with the bottom right colorway. Lisa's crescents are very light and contrast enough to make them evident. Kristen's is almost a reverse colorway of the one to its left and is stitched on a black canvas, making it dramatically different. When we look at these same pieces in grayscale, you remove the influence of color and can see exactly where value plays a part in determining focal points. It's practically like looking at different designs. We learned valuable lessons from changing colorways. Contrast is created by color and value. Contrast is better when differences in values are spread out. Medium values blend into the design, which is especially important for the foundation grid, which was not intended to be a focal point. On behalf of Mainline Stitchers, we've really appreciated the opportunity to share our needlepoint adventures with you. I'd like to thank Jared for all his efforts and to the Media Arts Council for hosting our exhibit. Finally, thanks to all of you for spending this time with us today. And now, if anyone has any questions, we'll try and answer them.
That was really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jared, again.
Absolutely. I guess we can all, you can turn your videos on now if you want or not. I just want to, just a round of applause for all of that work. It's really fantastic. It's just really wonderful. Yay.
Thank you.
And I guess what I'll do is, I think sometimes people might feel shy or something. I just wanted, as a non-artist, I think it's really opened my eyes a lot to the amount of work that goes into something like this. Where I always thought it was work, but the amount of just shading that can happen is fascinating to me in a lot of the work. Just how, color can I don't know what I thought, but it's fascinating to me how, you can just get such depth going on with colors next to each other. It's fascinating. So, yeah,
I see Janice has a question.
yeah.
I've always got a question.
Yeah.
So my question, when Linda was talking about the 5 different vases and the different stitch guides that people used, I think she mentioned 3 different stitch guides. And even as an experienced stitcher, I'll confess, I don't know, where do I find a stitch guide?
Well,
I'd be
Linda
glad
is
to-
our stitch
I'd-
guide expert.
Yeah, I'd be glad to address that. First of all, the number one place I would go is Chili Hollow has a blog, and there's a section on the Chili Hollow blog that lists all of the people who provide stitch guides. Okay, now I have, you kind of have to know what you're looking for, because every stitch guide writer is very, very different as far as how dense they cover the canvas, or some of them are very light coverage. The other websites that I use are tonymaneri.com. Now, his stitch guides can be very difficult in that he doesn't provide as much direction as you might want. So you have to sort of be able to work on your own quite a bit. But his stitches are wonderful choices, and he has a great use of perspective, meaning that he makes sure in the design that if an element of the design is further back, he selects stitches that cause the part to recede, and he causes items to come forward that should come forward. Not all stitch guide writers are very good at the use of perspective. Some of them just put a new stitch in each spot, but that's not really interpreting the canvas as well as somebody like Tony Maneri can do. The other place where you can easily find a lot of stitch guides is Robin King's Needlepoint Study Hall. She will list by canvas painter, she will list all the stitch guides that she's written for canvases by that artist. So there's 3 places I would go. I would go to tonymaneri.com, I would go to Robin King's Needlepoint Study Hall, and I would go to Chili Hollow's blog spot.
Thank you. That's great. We have a question in the chat. How do you as a chapter choose your projects?
Well, we encourage people to let us know what they're interested in stitching. And then every year we get together as a board and toss around ideas. Most of the time, the whoever's the VP project person at the time comes up with a list of suggested items, and they're voted on by the board. We try to have Linda's our current VP project person, so I think Linda should keep on going with this one.
Well, we try to have a counted piece because we have a lot of members who like a counted piece. We try to have some element of discussion around painted canvases and choosing stitches for painted canvases. And I just collect, I collect ideas throughout the year of pieces that I think lend themselves to doing a little bit each month. And then, like Melita said, I present the ideas to the board, and then the board chooses several for the upcoming year.
And we try to pick some that are not necessarily real complicated, but we do have a variety of people at different levels of needlepoint, and they like different things. So we try to accommodate different people.
Yeah, I have a question. Melita, at the end, you were showing the different, how grayscale can show you how the values of the colors chosen really influences. Do you ever look at grayscale of like color, paint the canvas to see what colors are going to be effective and what values? Do you ever use that as a tool to choose colors?
take a photo of the canvas in grayscale.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
yes, or try out the colors and, like use markers or something like that.
Well, I've taken photos of threads and put them in grayscale in the photo to see that. I haven't done a ton of painted canvases, so I've never done a photo of a painted canvas in grayscale. That would be a good idea though.
'Cause it was so dramatically different.
Yeah.
You really could see the effect of the different colors and choices. Thank you.
Mhm. And the other thing is that we didn't, we're going to post on the website a list of all the designers. We couldn't list for the first portion all the designers of the canvases that we posted. So
It's
that'll be
there.
available as a separate doc, right, Jared?
It's actually there now, fully on the page, so you can see it now. And then certainly this recording will be up sometime tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's a particular canvas that you saw that you really wanted to stitch,
Mhm.
you can find out the name of the canvas and who the designer was. I suppose our email address will be up there too as well, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
In case anybody has any questions or anybody wants to join, happy to have people.
I've got another question, if I may. This is
Sure.
Janice.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So I'm very fortunate. I'm in the Washington, DC area, and we've got a lot of really nice needlework shops around here. And of course, I guess you guys are pretty close to Rittenhouse. And whenever I get to Philadelphia, I mean, Reading Market and Rittenhouse, it's like, where else would I go, right? So for people who don't have a needlework shop close by, what do they do?
That is tough. Well, I think that most people rely on the needlepoint store that they order from to help pick canvases and cut threads for the canvas. I know that if you have good luck with a store, you probably stay with them. If you have bad luck, you're probably going to go to another store.
Yeah, and I think it's what we kind of look at it that everybody can go to a Michael's and find a DMC color.
Mhm.
And if there's a shop that you like to work with, you just take the DMC color and say, gee, I would really like a Splendor, or I would like a overdyed that would match this particular shade of DMC. And once you get comfortable working with a shop, they'll pick out a thread that, that they'll mail to you for their canvas.
That's a good idea. Match into a DMC.
Yeah, match it to a DMC, because most everybody can get to a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's or a Walmart where there's DMC colors to look at.
We are very fortunate in this area. We have, like you said, Rittenhouse. There's Nimble Needle over in New Jersey, right over the river from us. There's Fireside Stitchery. There's Needle Me and Haver. I always
And
get
Stitch House.
and Stitch House. Very fortunate.
Brenda, I think you put your hand up.
Oh, I was just going to say, living here in Southern Delaware, we now have a shop called Stitch Stash. But prior to her opening to get threads, I have a favorite shop in the state of Washington that I can call and talk to them about what I'm stitching on. And they've been very, very helpful in finding threads or recommending threads. Otherwise, you have to order kits and to get the threads needed for projects. But we have the local shop, we have Stitch Stash. She has some beautiful threads in her inventory, but she doesn't carry DMC or Splendor silks. So that can be limiting sometimes.
Finding needlepoint shops on vacation is also a nice way to go.
That's true.
Souvenirs. And relationships.
There was an app that you could use to find needlepoint stores, but I don't think it was maintained and didn't work very well. I think Chili Hollow, don't they list a bunch of needlepoint stores all around?
Yeah, she has a lot of good information on there.
I believe if you go on the ANG website under, I don't remember under which tab, there's links to other places. And there is a link to a website that will give you information on stores in different areas of the country. And I've used it when traveling, but I do go and check, the shop before I leave home and ask like what their hours are when they're open, that kind of thing. But I found that helpful.
What was the website where you could find the listing of needlepoint stores?
It was on the ANG website.
Thank you.
And EGA is starting a thing to list shops. The shops have to, I think they have to pay a fee to get on there. I'm not quite sure how that's working.
I have one more question, of course.
Sure.
Arts Pond. I didn't write down whose that was, but it was in the very beginning.
That's Beth's.
That was, well, all the work was beautiful, but was that one an original design? Did she design it or did somebody, how did that?
Yeah, it was a painted canvas.
Oh, it was not, I thought maybe it was of her husband's.
No,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was named for her husband. That's why it's called Art. Her husband's name was Art.
Okay.
Yeah.
I found that website to other shops. It's needletravel.com. And the majority of shops I've contacted, it does appear that they keep it up to date. And you can, when you go into the website, you can choose like if you want quilting, needlepoint, all kinds of different sites, and then you can search by state.
I posted the website on the chat.
Okay, thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Arts Pond is by Edie and Ginger.
Thank you for that.
Like I said, that the whole list of all the canvases are posted.
Okay, thank you.
We know about 99% of where they came from. There's a couple in there that we just stitched to not current enough to remember who it was.
I also, when you were talking about the site called Needle Travel, they have a wonderful app as well, and I have it on my phone. And it looks like it's mostly up to date, so which
Okay,
is cool.
maybe
Good
give
to
it a go
know.
again.
They put a book out, but that, of course, gets dated rather quickly.
Mhm.
What's
Yes,
it called
it's
again, Brenda?
Needle Travel.
Needle Travel.
At least that's what it's called on my thing. Hold on, let me just confirm that. Needle Travel. And they do quilt shops, yarn shops, embroidery shops, needlepoint shops, all of the above. And you can just tell it what state you want, and will then tell you what shops are in what cities.
Installing.
Aha. Excellent.
As if we needed an excuse to go traveling again, right?
Right.
Or finding more canvases and threads.
Okay, Lolita. Jared, thank you so much. Linda, it was wonderful to see everybody again. I do have to run. Great show.
Thank you, Brenda.
So
Thanks for
much.
Thanks
coming.
for joining.
Bye.
So have you been intrigued enough, Jared, to pick up a needle and thread? You know, we do have another male in our group. You're on mute, but I see it looks like a no. You're on mute, Jared. No, you're on mute, Jared.
No, I have big fat hands, you know, so it's like it's that kind of precision. It's just frightening to me, I think.
Well, some of the canvases come with 13
Good.
count.
Big holes.
are
That's what I
pretty
need. I
big.
need
You
a
use a
big
bigger needle. Patrick's always looking for another guy to join our group.
You could do like Patrick and use one of your kitchen sibs and shine your sib.
Sure. Well, this has been wonderful, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's great. Really great.
Okay. And we'll have this recording up on the website. And so please share it with your friends, share it with anyone who might be interested. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. The work will stay up on the website for the foreseeable future.
Oh, that's
There's no reason for it to go away. Real estate and the internet's free. So there we go.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
thank you, Jared.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Great job, presenters, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.